Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery.
Okay, I'm ready whenever you're ready.
Excellent. Okay. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to be talking about how we can change your brain with sound. Yuval Ron is a leading pioneer. He works with neuroscientists and does the research on how sound can change our brain. And he's doing incredible work. We're going to hear all about it. And we get to see how we can join in a 4-part course on how we can really apply this wisdom in our life. It is life-changing and transformational. Hi, Yuval. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Yeah, my pleasure, Lauren. Really, really happy to be with you and your audience and to share a little bit of what we're going to do in those 4 classes of how to use sound to change your brain. And it has to do with something called brain entrainment, entraining the brain to shift and to change the rate of speed that our brain vibrate. And when we change the speed of the brain, we could shift to different modes of operation. We can improve our sleep, we can improve our focus, concentration, memory, and it all leads to a healthier brain. And there are actually changes in the brain, physical changes. So this is very exciting science that my colleagues, the neuroscientists that I work with, have shared with me. And my role in it is providing the music for the neuroscientists and the doctors. And so I'd like to share with you and the audience just a small little example of how sound can affect us. So I'd like to suggest, maybe 3 to 6 minutes of sound meditation. I will play this beautiful instrument. You see, it has a belly. It's really a beautiful instrument called oud, O-U-D. It's spelled O-U-D, oud. It's the Middle Eastern lute. And I will play an improvisation. I do not know what I'm going to play. It's going to be completely channeling whatever comes through me. But there's one thing that I'm going to have as intentional. I will have the intention to express one energy or one vibe in the first half and a different vibe, a different emotion, a different kind of vibration in the second half. And all I'd like you to do is to just close your eyes and listen and enjoy and just observe what kind of feelings, sensations, thoughts happen in the first half and what happens in the second half. Just look at body and mind. It can be even sensation in the body, cold, warm, whatever. Images are good, thoughts are good, everything is good. Just observe how the sound leads you to where you are and how it's different in the first half and the second half. Now, here's the trick. I will not announce when I shift from the first half to the second half. It will be just a continuous flow of music. No one knows when I'm going to switch the vibe or the musical or the kind of sound. I'm going to change the kind of sound that I'm producing without telling you. But you all will feel a difference. And it's going to happen somewhere in the middle. So you just think about it as first half, second half of this musical journey. Okay? So relax, enjoy. This is just a beautiful experience, 5 minutes of mindfulness, focusing your mind on sound. Here we go. Now you see how we feel right now. It almost feels blissful, graceful moment. It's pure and it's delicate and it's round and it's beautiful. But that's how we feel right now. But if you look at how we felt in the first half, people may express it as, oh, that was something deserty like, there was a crying tone, there was something dark, or I felt like in a cave, or I felt restricted, or I felt under the earth, or I felt in a closed space, or the skies were darkening. And compared with that, the second half was all full of light. People may feel that they are out in a prairie. They may feel that they went outside. They may feel that they're under blue skies. There's so many different subjective ways that people may describe it. But everybody on this video call, on this program, everybody felt something. The words we use to describe it are not that important, but they are all pointing towards the same thing. I intentionally used sound in the first half. I used the musical mode. I didn't know what I'm going to do, what I'm going to improvise with that musical mode, but that musical mode have been used in ancient time in the Middle East for healing, but it's something that invoke longing. It's a musical mode that invoke longing for love, the separation of love, longing to unite with your lover, longing to unite with the beloved. It has been used in Sufi traditions, in Jewish traditions, in mystical Kabbalistic traditions. And the second half was a different musical mode. I didn't know what I'm going to improvise with that mode, but I knew that I'm planning to switch in the middle to a different musical mode that invoke a sense of wholeness, a sense of the wholeness of creation. It's been used in ancient times in Sufi and Christian and Jewish Middle Eastern traditions to invoke praise and awe of the creation, of the night skies, of the wonder of creation, the roundness and the perfection of the natural world. And it was all sound. I didn't speak. I didn't tell you what to think. I didn't tell you what to think or feel. But granted, with sound, with intentional sound, I touched your brain. I actually went into your brain through sound. Sound wave vibrated through Zoom and all the technology and the internet, and people in Australia and people in Costa Rica and people in Japan and people all over the world that are watching have felt. And I caused them to change the way they feel, the way they think, sometimes even bodily sensations, thoughts and feelings and emotions. Amazing. The power of sound, intentional sound. So this was just a little demonstration, just with an acoustic one instrument. Now, we are living in a very, very, very exciting time, Lauren, because now neuroscientists are confirming what the mystics and the ancients told us about sound. So now there are studies that are showing us what's going on in the brain. It's not an illusion. We found out it's not psychological illusion that you listen to music and you feel a certain way because whatever. You actually have changes in the brain when you're exposed to different sounds. Different parts of the brain lights up when you provide certain sound. For example, if you play a sad song, there's a certain area in the brain that lights up. There are areas with memories that lights up. There's chemical and hormones that are being released by the brain as a reaction to particular sounds, and that affects our mind and our body. It's not just psychological, it's also physiological, and that is really important. And the amazing thing is, when I worked with the scientist that wrote the book How God Changes Your Brain, it's Mark Robert Waldman and Dr. Andrew Newberg, they wrote that book, How God Changes Your Brain. The publisher wanted that title. The writers didn't want the title, because what they did is they did 400 studies on people who meditate and do spiritual practices, prayer and chanting, from all different religions, all different faiths, including people who are atheists and don't believe in anything. They checked the brain of all these people when they practice sacred sound, and they saw the same changes in the brain, and it made their brain healthier. The publisher said, we have to call that book How God Changes Your Brain, because if you have the word brain and the word God in the same title, you granted to have a bestseller. And I'm telling you, it's going to be on the top of the New York best-selling book. And you know what? The publisher knew what they're talking about. It ended up being on the bestseller list of the New York Times. It's called How God Changes Your Brain. But it's really a scientific book. There's 400 different scientific studies. And here's the most amazing thing that I learned from that work with these scientists. We all understand that something is going on in the brain when we listen to sound. So we would expect, right, that you hear a certain sound and you would look in your brain and you would see reactions, different areas in the brains are active, different processes are happening in the brain. We assume that, and science have confirmed that. But we didn't expect that the changes in the brain last beyond the meditation, beyond the time that we are exposed to music. So they found out that people who meditated and people who've been active in making music have changed their brain structure over a period of 10, 20, and 30 years that they've studied these people. So the brain of a meditator and a brain of a musician is a different brain structurally than a normal brain that doesn't do that fitness. They found out that doing meditation and doing music, making music, is such a challenging task that involves so many different parts of the brain and so much synchronization that you actually, like taking your brain and put it in the gym, and all the parts of the brains are starting to work out whenever you do involved with making music. And the same thing with meditation, not the same extent, but there is good fitness for meditation for the brain, and the brain structure some of the brain structure become thicker and healthier and more resilient. That was the groundbreaking finding. Interestingly, they found that those achievements at the end of life are the first to start to deteriorate because we gain them in our adult life. It's not something that we've done in our childhood, but if we've done it in our childhood, if we are playing music from childhood and continue into adult life, these changes last. These achievements last. Same thing with meditation. But if we started in our adult life, in our 20s or 30s or 40s, these will improve and change the structure of our brain and make a healthier brain. But because these are achievements because they were done in later age in our life, in our 20s or 30s or 40s, they will start to deteriorate earlier, usually. Not always, but usually. So this is very, very, very interesting. And if sound can do so much for the brain, how about if we use sound as medicine? What if we intentionally use sound to improve our health? And that is where this is what I'm going to be teaching in the course, the 4-part course. The first session is about isochronic beats, which are part of brain entrainment. Brain entrainment is a methodology using sound to modulate the brain waves, which means the speed in which the brain vibrates. So for example, when we sleep, our brain vibrates slow. When we think, our brain vibrates really fast. When we dream, when we write poetry, when we are in creative mode, when we are in meditative mode, our brain vibrates in different speeds. When we are intuitive, when we use our intuition, our brain vibrates in another kind of speed, faster than our thinking. So intuition is faster vibration in the brain than thinking. Even if you think about the most complicated mathematical problem, you're a genius and your brain is buzzing. If you go to your intuition, your brain will vibrate even faster. It's a higher mode. It's called gamma. And so we're going to learn all that in the course about how the brain vibrate in different modes of operation. And if we know that, how can we use sound to make the brain go from a thinking mind, buzzing thinking, to relax and be calm and awake? How can we slow down the brain further to meditation so we can meditate more easily? How can we then use sound to slow the brain even further and go to dream state? And how can we then slow down the brain further to a deep, healthy sleep with no dreams? Not even dreams. It's such a peaceful state that it's the deepest, deepest, deepest sleep. And we can do it with sound. So the first methodology is called isochronic beat. There's a different kind of methodology called binaural beats, which is a little bit more known. More people have heard about binaural beats than isochronic beats. I use isochronic beats in my music and I use binaural beats in some of my music. I use both methodologies. They are different. I'm going to teach people how to do it. I'm going to teach them how it works, the history, the scientific history, who discovered it, how did they discover it, what was the research. I happen to work with the pioneer scientist of binaural beats called Robert Monroe from the Monroe Institute. And Robert Monroe, people who have heard about binaural beats and hemisync sounds, they know who Robert Monroe was. He was the main researcher in this field in the 1970s. And in 1989, I just graduated from Berklee College of Music in Boston. I was a young composer looking for jobs to score music for TV and film and modern dance, contemporary dance and theater. And I got a call from Robert Monroe, from the Monroe Institute, who were looking for young composers to work with him on creating special music for the hemisync sound binaural beats. So when I just got out of school, 30 years ago or so, I got to work with the number one pioneer researcher in the field, and he taught me how to do binaural beats. And I had no idea who he is. I never heard about binaural beats. I just got out of college. I never heard about Robert Monroe. And he called me and he talked with a very, very heavy voice, deep, with a southern accent. I think he was in North Carolina, he was in Virginia. And I heard a gentleman voice with a very thick southern accent talking to me and guiding me. He was very patient. He was very authoritative. And I was his composer. And that was one of my first jobs as a professional composer in America. It was amazing synchronicity. You know, I was looking for a job. I was looking through listings, and I found the listing, and I applied for the job. I sent an application. I sent my music. And one day I get a phone call, and it was Robert Monroe himself calling me and said that he chose me out of all the applicants. And I was nobody. I mean, I was doing some work in Boston. I was composing for small productions in Boston and New York. But that was big. But I didn't appreciate it because I didn't know who he is. Years later, I found out what he did, and he created an institute called the Monroe Institute. You can look it up. Mm-hmm. So that was at the very beginning of my career. Now I'm creating, I've been creating in the last 15 years music for healing with Dr. Richard Gold and other doctors and healers, and I'm using some of what I learned from Robert Monroe back in the late 80s. Then that's going to be the first two sessions. We're actually going to learn how to create binaural beats and why they work and the science behind it. Then the third session will be, usually the third session is an overwhelming. People are overwhelmed. What I do is I take the Zoom session and I log in with two computers, my laptop and my music recording big computer with all the recording, and I open my music production file, and I take one of my tracks that has binaural beats in with some named musicians and some master musicians recorded on it, and I show the class each track, what are the building blocks. I open it up, I break it apart, and I show them how I created it musically. The whole production, the music production, the class gets into my production computer and they see and hear every little thing, and I explain why I did it and how I did it, and they hear all the layers. And when people realize all the layers, and I go layer by layer by layer by layer by layer of sound, and then they hear the whole thing together, they can't believe how complex it is. And when they see the complexity, some people are just overwhelmed. And some people are so inspired. This is a very exciting session, session number 3. And session number 4, the last session, is the most fascinating and mind-blowing because I dedicate it to the newest brain health sound therapy called 40 Hertz, which I happen to be probably one of the first, if not the first composer in the world, in the history to create a catalog of new music composed in 40 hertz, which has been shown to help dementia, Alzheimer, improve memory, concentration, recovery from brain trauma, chronic pain syndromes, and more. Now they're looking at epilepsy and Parkinson. It's all one frequency called 40 hertz, and I use it as binaural beats, as brain entrainment, but it's a lot more complicated. There's also things in the music that resonates with the 40 hertz sound therapy. It's a little complicated, but I'm dedicating a whole class for that. And it's so exciting because this is the frontier. The doctors you go to don't know about it. The FDA doesn't know about it. It's only in research. It's in MIT. This is based on research that has been done the last 7 years in MIT and NYU. I work with the doctors who are doing the research and the doctors who are trying to use it with patients within hospitals. There are only few doctors in the country that know about it and work with that. In the future, in the next 3 years or so, it may get to the FDA, it may get to be known by all the doctors that deal with Alzheimer and dementia and other diseases. But right now it's a very exciting time that it's in research. And there's already studies, there are already results. We know that it's working. The doctors are using it in the research and in private practices. And they ask me to create the music that will deliver that healing frequency of 40 hertz. So this is cutting edge, the frontier of sound and the brain. I happen to be in the room. I happen to be called to be in the room. I happen to work intimately in that particular frontier. And it's very exciting for me to share it because I think this is really a game changer. It's revolutionary. It does something beyond anything that people imagine that sound could do. It's really beyond all the other stuff. So I keep it for the fourth and last course. It's a very inspiring session. I would take the whole course just for that one class about 40 hertz sound, 40 hertz sound therapy. It's so new, there's barely anything about this anywhere. So that's the plan. That's the plan. Very excited course. I'm really glad I'm offering it through your platform, Lauren. I can't wait to meet the people who will be with us for that. It's open for everybody. It's not just for musicians. This is for anybody. Anybody can enjoy it and benefit from it. And you can use it for yourself, for your family, for your friends. It's just sound. It doesn't cost anything. It's not expensive. It's not pharmaceutical, expensive drug in testing. It's sound. And it's accessible for anybody. So I invite everybody on the call or anybody that you know that may be interested to join us. I think we are doing this in September, right? I don't recall the exact dates, but sometime in September we are starting the first class, and we have once a week. I think it's every Tuesday or every Monday. I have 4 dates for the class, and it's recorded, so you don't have to be on the call. You can get the recording and you can watch it anytime you want. But if you can be there live with me on Zoom, then you can ask me questions live. And if not, you can send me an email. I love questions. I love emails. People email me hundreds of emails a week. I always answer. I love it because every question opens a door to a new world of understanding and knowledge. So I appreciate questions. Questions remind me to talk about things that I didn't plan, or I didn't remember, or I didn't think that it may interest people. But when the students ask me a question, I feel, I have more to give. I can give more information. I can give more power, because knowledge is power. And so I always encourage my kids. My kids now are 17 and 20, and since they were 5, I always told them, ask questions, ask the teachers questions. The more questions, the better. And I told them, the more questions you ask, you're going to be more intelligent. You're going to be more smart if you ask more questions. So I always, my kids grew up like that. They're very inquisitive. I always tell my students, please send me questions. Ask me. Any question comes to mind. So that's the way I teach. That's the way I am. Um, it's going to be really, really great to have these 4 classes with the people. Let me know if you have any questions, Lauren, about all this exciting stuff. I'll be happy to respond to you.
I am so excited for this, and I know we've got a lot of sound healers in the audience and people who are just interested in sound from just the way it makes us feel and for health and for sleep. And
Mm.
you have music, 40 hertz music, that's very popular with our audience as well. And so I just wanted to say your work is extraordinary. The fact that you've worked with the Monroe Institute with binaural beats, you're like a firsthand knowledge of how they work, why they work, the science behind it, and you're going to teach everyone how to
Right,
work with binaural beats.
right.
This is not just for people who are interested in sound. This is for everyone, anyone who wants to apply this in their life. Are there specifics of people that you work with? Do you find a general type of person coming for lessons like this?
It's a nice mix. There are sound healers, there are psychologists, a lot of therapists, teachers, um, musicians
Mm-hmm.
that are not doing sound healing, but they're just curious. There are
That's
doctors and
cool.
nurses. Yeah, always. There's always doctors and nurses. There's always people from biology and medicine. I have the scientists and I have the artists,
Mm-hmm.
and therapists and educators. That's the kind of thing. And it's usually about half and half. Half of the room is really coming from the science, and they just want to hear more and more and more about the science. And half of the room are artists and healers, and and they like the science, but they already know the power of sound. They don't need so much science because they already know and they feel it, and they just want to get into the sound, how to do the sound, how to utilize the sound, like the practical applications. So I always have this balance that I satisfy both. I have the scientific stuff, but I don't let it overwhelm the course, and I have the artistic stuff which has to do with sound and music, and I don't let that overwhelm the course because it's not a music school. We're not in the music department in Stanford or in MIT. We are a course that's open for everybody. So I don't get too technical with the music, and I don't get too technical with the science, but I provide the information. I provide links. I mention the studies. I mention how to do the sound, but I give links to the articles and the science that I have, which I received from the doctors. So I keep an archive, a public archive. All the papers and all the studies that I use in my work, I put it online, open for everybody, and I send all my students get a link to this open source of science that have informed my work. And every study that the scientists send me, I read it and I put it in that public link.
It is so comprehensive. And again, I want to iterate that this is you as the leading pioneer in the 40 hertz
Right,
field in the arena. You
right,
are making music with the 40 hertz.
right.
So we talked about binaural beats and isochromatic beats. Can you share? I want to define each of these areas just a little bit more for
Mhm.
those who may not be familiar. So let's start with isochromatic
So,
beats. What are
so
those?
it's called isochronic.
Chronic.
Isochronic. Iso means isolated, and chronic is something that repeats all the time, like a chronic condition that repeats all the time, like something on the skin that keeps appearing. That's a chronic condition, right? It's chronic. It just means chronology. So it's just keep repeating. So isochronic. It's not very well known, but basically it's creating pulsation that influence the brain and modulate the brain waves. And that pulsation is something that you can hear in the music. It's embedded in the music, and you do not need headphones in order to benefit from it. So the beautiful thing, what I like about isochronic, and I dislike about binaural beats, which we're going to talk in a second, is that binaural beats you must use headphones. And isochronic, you can listen it through a speaker. You're not restricted to the headphones. So, and it's a different technology. It's a different methodology. The goal is the same goal: to modulate the brain waves, to change the way the brain vibrates, in order to change the way the brain operates, in order to bring you to a healthy, wholesome state. Binaural beats is not one pulsation like isochronic. You can think about it like mono and stereo. So isochronic, it's like a mono, it's one. Binaural is like stereo. That's why you need the headphones. It's two different pulsation, and you have to use headphones, otherwise it doesn't work. And I'll explain why in the course. And when you listen to it in headphones, it creates the impact of modulating the brain waves. So that's a different technology, different modality, different methodology, different technique, but the goal is the same. Some people like more isochronic, some people like more binaural beats, some people like both. The delivery is different because binaural beats must be delivered through headphones. Isochronic, you can deliver it through anything. You can listen through the headphones, you can listen without the headphones. You are more free. You have more choices with isochronic. But it's actually less known, isochronic, than binaural beats. But I like isochronic in a sense that I'm free. If I want to have the headphones on, I have. If not, I don't. Did you ask me a third term to define besides those two?
Thank you.
I
Thank you for
forgot.
that. As I'm learning about isochronic,
Isochronic, yeah.
it does make sense that we are free. You can still get the frequencies just by listening to it
Right,
from the speaker. We get
right,
that. Okay.
right.
Whereas the tones and the
The
two ears, that
binaural,
actually the binaural is
the
actually
binaural, yeah.
helping the brain
Sure.
mhm, become
Sh-
synchronized.
Sure, yeah, the one ear is connected to
Yeah.
one side of the brain and the other ear is connected to the other side of the brain. So there's a play of the two sides of the brain, and that's why Robert Monroe coined the term hemi-sync sound, the two hemisphere of the brain, hemisphere sound. So it works differently. But it's nice that we have both. So people can use
Right.
both. People can use more this. They can use more that. A lot of people that use binaural beats never heard about isochronic beats, or they know how to do binaural beats, but they don't know how to do isochronic beats. So I cover both, and we need a class for each one. And
That's
then, and then we have the production, music production, kind of lifting the hood and breaking down the music engine to parts, taking it apart. And
looking over your
yeah,
shoulder. It's
yeah, people are
looking over the
amazed.
shoulder of a professional sound producer. Wow.
Yeah, people have
Really
no
cool.
idea. We
No.
look at a commercial, let's say, or a trailer, a movie trailer or commercial. It's 30 seconds, and we have no idea how much work have been put and how hundreds of people worked on 30 seconds of video. The same thing
Mm-hmm.
with an album, a music album or a music track.
Yeah.
People have no idea how many layers and how much work have been put into 5 minute song. And again, maybe 10 people or 100 people worked on that 5 minute song. And 5 minutes goes like this. And the people worked on it for 3 months, full time. how can it be? It's all in there. The vibration and the energy is all in that 5 minutes of sound. But when you take that 5 minutes of sound and you break it to elements and you show people and why those elements are there and how it was created and what are they serving, suddenly, you look, you listen to 5 minutes of music and you say, wow, there's some depth there. That it's not just a song. There are layers and layers and layers. So this is a really interesting session, and I'm glad that through Zoom we found a way, in combination of two computers, we find a way to share it in an effective way. That, in a way, people are going into my computer through the Zoom, and they can
Yeah.
hear the sound, and they can see the layers, and I have everything color coded, so I can say, oh, you see the red layer, that's the bass. Oh, you see the blue layer, that's the singer. You hear the singer, that's the blue. And so it's visual and it's audible. So
Mm.
it's a fun session. I enjoy it because I feel like everybody came to my recording studio. My recording studio is here. This is the recording booth. That's where the artists go when they are recording, and there's the keyboard, there's the monitor where the video that I scored, and the whole recording studio and instruments and fun stuff. So when I do the third session, I feel like, hey, it's a field trip. Everybody come to my studio.
Oh my gosh, this is a master class, a class for
Thank you.
mastery. Whether, I mean, it's almost the price of this class is a no-brainer for those who are really into this topic.
Yeah,
Those
it's
who
very
are
humbling.
interested in, I mean, again, we have so many sound healers that this is very important to advance your sound healing with the science that you bring
Mm.
and the musical depth that you bring from your history as a musician. I just absolutely love it. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. So the importance of this, there's one other thing I wanted you to talk about, the 40 hertz and the brain. Again, this is the leading pioneering work that you're doing in the research, and this is fascinating as well, and you're really one of the only people out there making this. Again, can you imagine a world where all music is tuned in this way? I think
Right.
it's wonderful.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
this is very new, but it will be known and more common in the coming year and in the future. It's just that I happen to be in this place that 3 years ago I got a phone call from the doctors who are one of the very few that are using it with their patients, and they used it without music. They just used a tone, an annoying, buzzing tone that vibrates in 40 hertz, and it's just annoying to listen to. And they have all their patients sit there an hour a day with the headphones listening to a terrible buzz. And one doctor, Dr. Sanjay, thought maybe there could be a better way to do this therapy, this sound therapy. And he thought about ways to combine it with beautiful music. And then he talked with Dr. Gold, a colleague of his, and Dr. Gold works with me through Meta Mindfulness Music record company, where that puts all my binaural beats music and isochronic music came on this record label called Meta with double T. Double T is important. Meta with double T, mindfulness music. And Dr. Gold called me and he said he had a meeting with Dr. Sanjay, and they are wondering if there's any way they could deliver that annoying buzz of 40 hertz, that sound that is healing, through beautiful music. And I said, look, I'm sure it can be done. Let me look into it. And I researched, and it was not easy. It was not obvious, because 40 hertz tone does not exist on the piano, and it does not exist in our tuning system. The way we tune all of our instruments in Western culture, on the piano, on the accordion, on all the instruments, there's no 40 hertz. We don't have it in our music. It's in between the notes. It's in between the white key and the black key. It's in between. We don't have a key for it. So it was it was a challenge. It was a challenge. I had to create a whole new tuning system. I mean, I have to tune the whole orchestra. I have to tune the singers. I have to tune everybody to this new tuning system. Everybody has, all the guitarists have to tune their instrument, their strings different. All the musicians have to tune all the strings instruments to a way that they're not used to. They are hearing their own instruments in a whole new way that they never heard their own instruments vibrate like this. And many of the musicians, master musicians that recorded my music in 40 hertz told me, wow, this is kind of trippy. I like it. I like this. It's a kind of a trippy sound from their own instruments. They never heard their instruments
Wow.
vibrate like this.
Mhm.
Some of the master musicians told me, "Wow, my guitar sounds so beautiful. It never sounded like this," because I had to make them change the tuning of all the instruments and all the strings, everything, to in order to resonate and sound and vibrate 40 hertz and its higher harmonic. So it was not obvious and it was not easy. It's complex. It's a whole story. It's a journey. And so far, I created 7 or 8 different albums in 8 different musical styles. So we have jazz in 40 hertz, we have classical music in 40 hertz, we have chill hop music in 40 hertz. We're going to do country music in 40 hertz. We have um, world music in 40 hertz, new age music in 40 hertz. And this is all because the doctors insisted that if we don't give choices to the audience and give people what they love to listen to, we will have lower compliance. And compliance is really key because you can have a medicine and it's very affordable, it's very, 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 very inexpensive, it's very easy to use. You have the medicine, but people don't use it because it's difficult. But if it's pleasant and beautiful experience, for example, some people love jazz, some people hate jazz. Some people, they get irritated by jazz. Some people relax with jazz. You know, it's so personal. So if we do an album of jazz in 40 hertz, we'll satisfy some audience, but some audience will not comply. There will be low compliance. If we just have one choice, only jazz in 40 hertz, and you have to listen to that jazz album to get the 40 hertz, we will not have compliance as much as if we have 7 different or 8 different albums in 8 different musical styles, all in 40 hertz. Then people have choices, people have fun, people can have variety, and we get more medicine, more healing sounds for more people more often, so we could contribute more to their health and well-being. So that idea didn't came from me, it came from the doctors. The doctors, they just think about compliance. They told me, look, we have patients, we give them the herbs, we give them the medicine, we give them, but they just don't take, they don't take the medicine the way they should. And that's an issue of compliance. It's amazing. I wasn't aware of it because I'm not a doctor, but the doctors always think about compliance. It's not enough to have medicine. You also have to make sure the patient takes the medicine. So interesting. So we created a catalog of 8 different albums of 40 hertz. And that is something that nobody that I'm aware of anywhere in human history ever done. This is the first catalog of 40 hertz music. And I just happened to be in the composer's seat, and I happened to be provided with the science and collaborate with the doctors. So I'm very, very fortunate to be in this place at this time, and I love it that I can share it with your audience, with the community, and people could be inspired and empowered to also do and use sound as medicine.
Sound as medicine. Again, you are on the leading, pioneering edge, the cutting edge, and you're doing extraordinary work. And we are so honored to be able to have this class with you, to be able to participate in this class with you. It really is beautiful. Thank you so much for that. We
Pleasure.
want to also say that the music in the cart where people go to purchase and learn more about this, you'll see Yuval's music as an option as well if you'd like to purchase that. That's a beautiful opportunity because this is important in our on our planet right now. Yuval, can you share with us why you care so much about this? What
Mm.
is the single most important message about this workshop? Not only the workshop, but this work in itself. Why do they need this?
I've done a lot of work in the past in peace building and bridging people, opposing people, and using music for peace. And I've done that since 2000, maybe 99. I started my ensemble promoting peace through music, and we've done that for 20, 25 years, and we still do. But at a certain point, around 2012, I started being active again in music for healing because I got calls from doctors, and I realized that as much as we are trying to promote peace, on a larger scale around the world, that we have to promote peace and well-being in each person. And that is maybe the most important work, is that if we can help each individual reach inner peace and well-being, we would be able to promote world peace. So for me, in the big picture, is I'm so happy that I'm getting emails from people. That's the most rewarding thing, when people write to me and said, oh, I used, just yesterday I got an email from a woman who got the 40 hertz music, and she said that it took her out of depression, and her sister has a brain trauma and she didn't sleep for weeks, and she got her to listen to the music, and suddenly her sister is starting to sleep. And I feel this is so rewarding, because people who don't sleep, people who are depressed, people who are not happy, people who are sick, and both psychologically, mentally, and physiologically, they're a danger to themselves, and they're a danger for the family and for their neighbors and for the community as a whole. It's not going to end well. And so we need to heal our traumas, we need to heal our wounds in order to live well with each other, in order to have kindness, in order to have patience. So my passion is, the hidden agenda for me, and my hidden passion in all the healing work that I do, healing through sound, is peace. This is the ultimate goal, that I really am passionate about promoting peace in the world. And I see my work in sound healing, with healing sound, with sound as medicine, as a tool in the service of inner peace and world peace. That is really what I'm passionate about.
Thank you for that passion, because as you share that with the students that you teach, you are helping others take it out into the world and create that peace in their lives, to
Mm.
create music that actually heals us just by listening to it. That is so powerful. And the
Yeah.
musicians that you know who already get how sound makes us feel, they can tune to it. But now with the science behind it, that's absolutely bulletproof for
Mm.
this case of
Yeah.
science and music and the way it affects us as humans. So it really is beautiful. Just by listening to the music, we are improving our brain. We're
Indeed.
really excited for this, and we invite everyone to check it out. The link to that is here where you're watching the video, in the description box, or the page that got you here. It will get you to that. And if you need help, assistance purchasing this, there's a two payment option, because we want you to really embrace this. If your heart feels it, grasp onto it and join Yuval for these 4 classes. It will change you. It will help you step up in the world to showcase your talents as well. It really is so beneficial for our planet and for peace, love,
Mm.
compassion on our planet and new earth. Thank you, Yuval. This has been
Dear
so
Lauren.
uplifting, and you are
Mm.
just doing extraordinary work. So I just, again, want to thank you for that and
Thank you
have
so much.
you share any final thoughts.
Well, I invite everybody to join us and to be part of this work. Anybody can do some of it. Some people can create music, some people can use it, some people can share it with their friends and loved one. Everybody can have a part in making something, making a little contribution for well-being, health, and peace. So be part of it. It's only 4 classes. It's a very small course. It's only 4 meetings, but you'll have tools that can change your life for the better, and you'll have tools that you can share. It's all shareable. So it's really a small commitment. 4 classes, 4 weeks. I'm looking forward to it, and then you have something that you can gift to others, and you can gift yourself. So I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible. And if you cannot make the dates, just sign up and you'll get the recordings. And you can email me with questions. I'll give you
Beautiful.
my email, the first class. You can email me directly, not to my assistant, directly to me. And any questions you have, if you're watching the video, you send to me any comments, any requests, I will respond to you. So you don't have to be there on those dates. It's recorded, right? Am I correct, Lauren?
Yeah,
It's recorded, right? People can get the
it's all
recording, right?
absolutely
Excellent.
downloadable recordings to go back and apply that wisdom and create, create, create. Wow.
Thank you,
We
Lauren.
have, you are a regular feature on the Globe Sound Healing Conference that's here on New Earth One Network. And so we have a lot of sound healers that want to join you for this. And we are looking forward for all of those joining and anyone who just wants to dabble in sound a little bit. It really is extraordinary. So thank you for offering this, Yuval,
Thank you,
and
Lauren.
thank you all for considering this and registering. As soon as you register, you will get the access details. Again, we're really looking forward to seeing you, everyone, here with Yuval Ron. Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank you,
you.
Lauren. See you in September.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.